How are you, man?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm really good. Where do we find you?
I'm home.
How long is it since you've been out on the road?
That was when pandemic hit. I don't remember exact date, but probably 20 something of March 2020. We played in,
Right.
we were in South America, and I know that Mexico was the last show, and then we had to get back home before they closed all the airports.
Yeah, such a shame because you guys are like obviously are known for your live shows. I think the first time I saw you, you were playing a festival and it was probably mid-afternoon and you still had one of the biggest stage shows of the entire event.
When was
now
that?
you I think it might have been Bloodstock or something like that. I can't even remember what year it was, but I was like, I wouldn't want to be the band that goes on after Amon Amarth.
Yeah, I think I remember I read a review from one of the Blockstocks shows, and it says like, and they had this big show and they weren't even the headliner.
Yeah, that's it. But now you are the headliners, you're headlining arenas. Do you feel any pressure to keep like up in the ante when it comes to the stage show and the performance like that?
Not really, not pressure. I mean, it's not like that we became a big band instantly. We always grow a little bit,
Yeah.
small steps. So it kind of feels natural. And I mean, yeah, it is what it is. I mean, if we sell out the venue, let's say in London, we sold out Brixton. I mean, next time you have to move to the next, and it's not more, it's not rocket science or anything like that. It is what it is, and when it comes to the show, we always try to improve and come up with more cool stuff. And the reason we have such a, you know, big show is that that's what we grew up with. That's what we thought was cool when we saw Maiden and Priest when we were young. Instead of just having a backdrop and amps, we want to go all in, you know. And since we're in a position where we can do that now, so yeah. But there's no pressure. I
Yeah.
mean, hey, it is what it is, and we just try to do our best.
Yeah. So you mentioned that you've been one of those bands that has like made that kind of steady climb over the years, and now you're bigger than you've ever been. And this is your 30th anniversary as a band this year. Do you ever feel nostalgic and look back over that time?
Not really, to be honest. And the funny thing is that since I started doing interviews now recently for the new album, that's it's that's the first time I realized that it's 30 years and it's an anniversary
Right.
year. We haven't even talked about it within the band. Yeah, it is kind of crazy, but it's nothing we go around and think about. And I don't really feel nostalgic like that. I mean, I don't know. I think the reason is that since going back to what I said earlier, that we always grow in small steps. So when you take those small steps, you don't really notice.
Yeah, so let's talk about this new album. I'm lucky enough to have heard it. It feels like all the best parts of Amon Amarth coming together, but it also feels like a very expansive album. There's a lot of little surprises on this album that I wasn't expecting. What was your thinking when you went in to make this is your 12th album? What was the goal when you went in to make it starting this album?
My goal was to make a shorter album compared to Berserker. I thought 12 songs on Berserker was too many. And I don't say that there's bad songs on that album, but it's difficult to give 100% attention to 12 songs instead of 100% attention to 9 songs. And if I actually wanted to have 8 songs only, because I
Wow.
wanted to make every 8 song as amazing as possible. And I also wanted to have as divide album as possible. So there's not going to be 2 songs that sort of are in a similar way or similar tempo or whatever. So that was my goal. And the reason we did 9 songs, that was because the Saxons and Vikings. That song was not supposed to be here.
So how did that song come about? Because that song really stands out on the album.
The thing is that I had this idea for, I don't know, maybe 10 years, or at least first time when we recorded with Andy, Deceiver. And he was doing, I think he was mixing Saxon or whatever, just, a month before or whatever. So we talked about Saxon, and I said, like, that would be fucking amazing to make a song about Vikings and Saxons, and then have us to do the song together with Saxon. And then for whatever reason that really never happened, but the idea was there. And since we're coming back to Andy now for this record, I thought, maybe it's time to look into that idea again. And musically, I had a few parts that I thought it's gonna be fit, both the Biff vocals and Johan's vocals. So yeah, the timing was right, and so we were like, okay, let's go for it. And we reached out to Biff and Saxon, and they loved the idea, and rest is history.
Like you say, it works really well. And it comes at a nice point in the album as well. It's kind of towards the end of the album, and it kind of shifts gears just a little bit, just for a while. And I think it works really, really well. Is that a song that you'll play live?
I don't know. I mean, the thing is that what we do when we release a new album, we sort of like we're gonna try to play all the songs at some point, and then we go from there. And whatever the audience is gonna demand, that's what we play.
Obviously, Amon Amarth get tagged with this Viking metal genre, which is more to do with the lyrical content than anything else. But you seem to have ran with it. How do you feel about that term now?
I don't have any problems at all with that. I think Johan Hegg said something a few years ago that he didn't like us to be called Viking metal. But I'm kind of the opposite. To me, it makes totally sense. I mean, we sing about Vikings, our imagery and our theme of the band is Viking, and we play metal. So, the way I see it is Viking metal. I have no problem at all.
And how do you think the themes, like the Viking themes that you talk about, how do you think they relate to our world now in 2022?
I don't think there's anything really to be related. I mean, I think it kind of fits us. I mean, we're Nordic. We come from, Scandinavia, and the Vikings were from Scandinavia for most part. So, I mean, there's a connection there. And also, we started with this 30 years ago was to stand out a little bit, not do the regular or normal death metal lyrics. So we wanted to have something, and also it's a good thing to build a theme around. When it comes to artwork and stuff we have on stage. I mean, it's easier for us to have some cool stuff. If that's towards hammers or whatever that might be, giant Vikings or a dragon or whatever. I mean, so no, I think that's cool, and how it really relates to the age we're living now. No, what we do is entertain. It's not something that we're gonna like try to push people to learn more about the Vikings or whatever. I mean, if they do, fine, that's cool. And also these days when you have all these series like Vikings and the Last Kingdom and all that, of course that helps us too. And the Thor movies and all that. This really should not be taken too seriously. We are a bunch of entertainers.
What other new bands are exciting you these days?
I'm not sure if the bands are new, but they're new to me. I mean, there's a Swedish band called Lik, Lik. They kind of sound like Dismember, and I think they're amazing. Then 1914, their album from last year, I think is also amazing. I think I like this new sort of death metal bands that kind of sound like the early 90s style, like Gate Creeper, and then you have I think a Frozen Soul. There's a big and 2000 Stab Booms and bands like that. There's a seems to be a big comeback for that kind of music. Like you have this Dismember entombed sound on the guitars, and yeah, I really like that.
And I'm sure you don't listen to metal all the time. So what do you listen to like on a Sunday afternoon when you just want to chill out?
Sorry to disappoint you. I only listen to metal.
Oh, really?
But I mean, yeah, I really. I mean, but I also listen to classic rock like AC/DC. Yeah, I mean, Def Leppard Pyromania album. I listen to maybe at least once a month. But usually, I AC/DC, Black in Black. That would be classic rock that I really enjoy a lot. But I don't really listen to any other I mean, Rammstein is not metal, but yeah, Rammstein would be the only that is not hard rock, but it's kind of metal in a way too. So
yeah, I think so. So what would you say was the album that you've listened to more than any other in your life?
probably Slayer, South of Heaven, or Seasons in the Abyss, because Slayer is something I always come back to, but also Maiden, Peace of Mind, and I really loved Iron Maiden, the Live After Death album. I think it's and the same thing with Slayer, Decade of Aggression, because you have all these great songs in one album.
Yeah.
Yeah. Judas Priest, The Defender of Faith. That's also something I always come back to. And also Bolt Thrower, For Those Loyal, I think it's called, or something like that. The last album Bolt Thrower did. So that's what I usually come back to be honest. It's the classic. But I do listen a lot to new stuff. I always try to see what's, because everything gets released on Fridays and with all this streaming. And so it's easy to just browse around and see what the new releases are.
I think most metal fans know Amon Amarth pretty well now, but if somebody had never heard your band, is there one song that you would want them to listen to first that gives an idea of what you're all about?
That's a tricky one, because I think we have so many different styles within Amon Amarth. I mean, if I know that if there's somebody who likes fast stuff, then I would say, yeah, Twilight, that kind of represent our fast songs. And if you have something groovy, I would say Pursue the Vikings or something like that. If you want to have a happy song, then maybe Raise Your Horns and hopefully in the future, Hadron. And if you want to have, just pure, I don't know, death metal style, Shield War. I mean, depends what style I'm going to try to sell Amon Amarth into.
So what's next for you? You've got the tour coming up.
Yeah, we have the tour. I mean, we're going to do some stuff for the release weekend, which is 5th of August. And then it's pretty much the tour.
Well, like I say, I love the album. It's possibly my favorite Amon Amarth album so far, I think.
Wow.
And I really look forward to hearing these songs live, especially with you guys, because you always put on a show. But thank you very much for spending some time talking to me, and good luck with everything.
All right. Thank you very much. Happy to hear you like the new album.
I think the way that you've done the sequencing is exactly as it should be. And I think that's important.
Thank you. It's not that, I mean, the song sequence and all that, it almost feels like nobody cares anymore. Because, I mean, people are streaming and it's streaming one song or whatever. So, I mean, I'm happy to hear that, because I really enjoy, making the full album and try to figure out what's going to be the right, sequence and all that. So, yeah, happy to hear that.
Yeah, it shows. So, yeah, it's definitely an album you should listen to front to back, I think.
All right, cool.
All right.
Thank you and have a good one.